Hello, my name is Chuks, Nigeria, and I'm a COVID survivor. Well, my story goes this way. First of all, I was treating malaria. I had malaria. I was treating malaria, in quotes. I treated my first malaria, and after a while, so a couple of weeks after that, I was hit by another so-called malaria. I was having fever. I was having severe fever. I was having muscle pain, my legs, my laps. It was quite unusual. And I went back to the hospital, and they tested did a test, ran a test, and they claimed they saw some malaria parasites, So the irony is that I was one of the people that I was really afraid of this COVID. I was one of the people that actually advocated for carefulness. I was one of the people that was campaigning about the severity of this COVID. But after a while, because it wasn't, I wasn't seeing much people who tested positive, people that were dying. So I was beginning to I started getting lax about, campaigning for it. I started doubting the existence of this disease. And for some reason, when I went to the hospital, I just for to fulfill all righteousness, I decided to do the test while I was in the hospital that I was diagnosed for malaria. I tested for the COVID, and surprisingly and embarrassingly, I tested positive for the COVID. And that the very moment that I tested positive to it, the hospital had to send me away. I was asked to go to an isolation center, and I had this phobia for those isolation centers. So I had two options. So I just go to the isolation center, or just go home and isolate myself and take all the medicine. It wasn't a pleasant experience, to be honest. I heard about the symptoms of the COVID, and I always told my friends, I used to joke about it, and I told my friends that, do you know that we might have gotten this COVID? We might have tested positive to this COVID one way or the other, but we didn't know because we are asymptomatic. But this time around, I was symptomatic. I actually experienced everything. Let me tell you how it happened. I was having severe pains on my legs. It was as if there were fire in my muscles burning, especially in the night hours. And when I sleep, I'll be having some kind of hallucinations. I was having severe fever that I couldn't explain. Most times it's either I'm extremely cold or extremely hot at the same time. It was a confusing state of mind. It's not an experience anybody want to have, to be honest. And this came from the fact that I actually took it for granted. I was one of the people, like I said before, that actually campaigned for it, that were actually telling my friends that we have to be careful about COVID. I was always telling my friends, wear masks. I was wearing masks wherever I go to. I was washing my hands. I bought like 10,000 bottles of sanitizer, and wherever, in fact, after eating, I sanitize my hand. Before I eat, sanitize my hand. I shake somebody, I sanitize my hand. But the time comes, as usual, a time came that we are feeling that this thing was not real, So I dropped my caution about it. From nowhere, I can't even explain where it came from. To be honest with you, I don't know where I got it from. I don't know where I contacted it from, but I just know, all I know is that it was a very terrifying experience for me. I couldn't breathe. At one point, I was having hard time breathing, and at another point, it got to a point that I couldn't smell anything. Like I would practically take my perfume, and I spray it. Like I'll spray it in my nose and go close. I couldn't perceive. In fact, I got to a point, I was like, no, this is not COVID. No, this thing I hear about cannot be happening. I had to spray it here. I'm not kidding. I had to spray it on my mustache just to make sure that it gets through my nostril. When I sprayed it, my brother, I couldn't perceive anything. I couldn't. And I love chicken. I take chicken, I tried to eat chicken, and it was as if, let me describe it for you. It was as if you dip a rubber inside water and just put it inside my mouth. I know there's something like liquid, and I know there's something like rubber, but the irony is that eating chicken, I couldn't taste anything. I couldn't taste it. Chicken was not tasting like chicken. Soup was not tasting like soup. Like I knew I was eating something, but I couldn't taste what the aroma is nowhere to be found. The scent, the smell was on strike. My whole sinuses was on strike. Like it was impotent. I couldn't feel anything. I mean, actually, I don't blame people that think that this is not real. I was there, actually. I actually felt that this was not real. The fact that it is real, right? Yeah, no matter the people, the controversy, the conspiracy behind it, but it is actually there. So we will not relegate the fact that COVID is real, but we shouldn't be. So I know we shouldn't be too afraid of it, like to the extent that you harm yourself trying to be afraid of it, but it is real, and you have to actually protect yourself. Be careful. One of the easiest ways to protect yourself is to always wear a mask and to move around with sanitizer. It helps. And wash your hand regularly. Avoid a crowded place. And if you're talking to somebody that you suspect might be having COVID, just distance yourself. I'm not saying that you should be suspecting it, but just play your part, please. Cover yourself, cover your nose, wear masks, a good mask, and wash your hand regularly. This might not be the best way to get rid of it, but it surely does help. Just like wearing a seatbelt, it protects you from severe accident, but the accident is just going to happen. So I just want to ask everyone, just be careful. And this is my little story. This is my little experience about COVID, and protect yourself. COVID is real. Once again, my name is Chuks, and I'm a COVID survivor.